Hey, it's me, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and welcome back to another episode. And in this episode, I want to discuss some movie room films I've been watching recently. It's the month of August in 2025, so I'm going to run through 6 of the movies I've been watching in the movie room recently, so let's get to it. Okay, so the first movie I want to get to is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. So this is a Ben Stiller movie, and I'm pretty sure I think he directed this movie as well, if I'm not wrong. I've just got the thing up here. So Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and yeah, it was a 2013 release. He starred in this, and he did direct it as well. And I think it's just a run through. I believe it's a short story from like the 1930s or 40s, and basically it's this guy. He works at this paper, and he works in like the photography department, and they're gonna close it. It's Life magazine. I'm pretty sure this is like a real magazine in America, and they're about to close it down, doing the final issue, and they want to get this famous photographer who sent like the photography sort of reels, and one of the photos is missing, which is going to be the front cover, and he has to go on this journey to find his photographer to find out where the missing photograph is for the last cover for the Time magazine, Life magazine, sorry. And I suppose it sounds like on paper it doesn't sound super exciting, the story, but it's this very much a movie where he's a man who's like kind of lost in what he's doing, and he has to go on a journey to kind of like obviously find a photo, but it's also a journey of discovery, and it's a really, really good film. What I will say with this one, he's kind of like a daydreamer, so he just goes into these like fantasies, and you see these mad scenes, and it kind of like happens a lot more early on in the movie, because he goes from being this daydreamer to actually then going on adventures and doing these things. So he goes from this guy who's doing nothing with his life, daydreams, you see these weird scenes, and then he goes and naturally does stuff, and I thought it was a really good film. One I've been meaning to watch for quite some time. A lot of these I've watched on Disney Plus. I've recently got Disney Plus for a bit, and I watched that on there, and I thought it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's got great cast. Adam Scott's in there, Kristen Wiig, Sean Penn. Great cast of actors, and really a good movie to watch. Second one, I feel somewhat ashamed that I've never really watched this from start to finish, and it is Edward Scissorhands. And yeah, I really do like Tim Burton, and it's kind of a movie I've seen bits and pieces of over the years, but I've never watched it from start to finish, admittedly. And I kind of didn't know what to expect. I kind of expected the Tim Burton sort of like aesthetic, but I thought it was great. This quirky character. It reminded me a bit of you never see it. It's very much like a story. It reminds me of The Grinch mixed in with Frankenstein's monster, Edward Scissorhands. It's very much reminded me of that when I was watching it. It had the vibe of the Grinch, like the feel of it, and then it had like Frankenstein's monster mixed in there. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and it's a shame with that one that it's not had like any recent releases. So it's under obviously the I believe it's under the Disney banner, and obviously with Disney they don't do that. A lot of the stuff is kind of stuck on a certain release. We'll probably never get physical releases of certain movies from Disney. Maybe over the years, anniversaries, maybe we get certain releases, but whether we get a 4K, it's not a 4K release. This one is only a Blu-ray. And I was looking at it straight away. I was online. I was like, there's some scenes in this where I think it would absolutely look great on like the OLED TV 4K. I was thinking, this is this, and I was like looking online straight after because I really enjoyed the movie. And I was like, it's only a Blu-ray. So, and even the Blu-rays are all out of print now. So even that's like a pain. I think I'd happily go settle for a Blu-ray, but so I'm going to definitely look out for one probably down the road. But it's a shame it's not like a 4K release because it's such a good movie. I love the quirkiness to it. I love the character. Who's just not like, this character who's very much sheltered away from the world, and then goes into the big outside world for the first time, into this little town he lives in. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Edward Scissorhands, another one. I streamed this one, but I really enjoyed it. Another great movie room viewing. this past few weeks. Third movie. Right, this is, again, these are all first time watches for me, I will say. This third movie is one, I'm pretty sure I heard about this on Last Movie Standing. I'm pretty sure he mentioned it in a recent video. If I'm wrong, I do apologise, but I'm pretty sure he mentioned this movie. And it was the Three Musketeers, and this is a 1993 movie, the 1993 version, starring Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland, and Chris O'Donnell. And this is, man, what a brilliant watch. I've never seen any of the Three Musketeers before, any of the renditions over the years, the incarnations. So I give this a watch. I thought, you know what, I fancy this. I like the cast. Charlie Sheen, I like him, I like Kiefer Sutherland, and it was just so much fun. Just a really fun adventure movie of the Three Musketeers. I imagine most of the movies follow probably the same story because it's based on the book, I believe. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think the highlights as well, apart from the Three Musketeers themselves, I think Tim Curry's the evil cardinal was fantastic. I thought he was brilliant. He just played the perfect villainous role in that. And yeah, it was just a really fun movie. It was really, it's a light-hearted movie, but really just fun adventure. I love like swords and that sort of era. I really do like that sort of era. The Musketeers, I think, is really fun. And yeah, I had a really good time watching it. I think it was a really fun movie. So that was one I really enjoyed. And it made me think: would I want to watch more of the different adaptations? You've got the one with, is it Oliver Reading? Is it? I know there's like one. I think, is it the one with Richard Chamberlain? Who was in the Count of Monte Cristo. I'm pretty sure he's in one as well. So I wouldn't mind watching them ones. I know they've done a more recent one as well, a few years back. I might be wrong. I'm sure like Orlando Bloom was in one maybe. But yeah, I know there's different incarnations over the years. I'd definitely be interested to see a few more incarnations just to see how different directors approach the story. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun movie to watch. Next up, I've got a physical one to go with this list, and it is Raya and the Last Dragon. I got this on 4K, and this is one I've been meaning to pick up for quite some time. So I've been looking out for it. Got a great deal on it. I think it was about £12 on Amazon, brand new. I wanted to watch this for several reasons. I thought it was a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it. It reminded me, it's an animated movie. It's from, I believe it's Disney. Yeah, Disney it is. It's cool story. For me, it's got a vibe of like a Studio Ghibli movie, if I'm being honest. It's got that feel to it. And it's just a magical story. One of the stories that really has a lot of emotion. For me, it's attached to it. I'm watching the story and I was like, it was certain parts of it, I was like, wow, this is really, it got me, you know what I mean? It really got me in. And it's basically the story of, if you've never seen it, it's basically this sort of like continent is split up into different sort of factions, and something happens earlier on in the movie, and then basically pretty much most of civilization is knocked out by these monsters. And Raya, then she has to go, like years later, she's going on this track to find the last dragon to try and defeat these evil monsters. And it's such a fun movie. I think it's just visually a great movie. Why did I buy it on 4K or Blu-ray or DVD? To be honest, I thought, first of all, I thought it's a movie I really enjoy. Ticks one box. Second of all, I was really interested to see how animation works, how animation looks on 4K. I've not compared it to the Blu-ray yet, so I will certainly have to, check out the Blu-ray as well to see if there's much of a difference. But I think visually it looked great. The colours of it, I think there's a lot of colour going on in this movie, with the dragon, the visual effects. There's a lot of like different locations where you're seeing there's lots of different settings in this movie. So you're seeing lots of different palettes of colour. in regards to the location settings, like really hot locations, bright, and then you go into like these sort of like really dark, dingy locations where you're getting a lot of different color palettes. So you're seeing, especially the OLED, I think it looked great with HDR. So for that, I think it was really well worth it. Whether animated movies work well on 4K, I honestly need to watch more to really make that sort of assessment. But for this one, I think it looked great. I can't say anything bad about it. I think it looked great, visually stunning. I can't go wrong with it. But really, I would highly recommend that. It's honestly, for me, up there with some of the Studio Ghibli stuff. I think it is a fantastic movie that I'm really... One, I'd never watched... I only watched it first time maybe like 2-3 years ago, and straight away I knew it was a film I needed to get in the collection at some point, and bided my time, looked for a good deal, and it generally goes quite cheap, that movie. So it's well worth checking out if you've never seen it before. Worth it. I think it's worth it on 4K. Next up, another one I streamed, it was Alien Romulus, the most recent Alien movie in the franchise, and I don't think I'd seen, maybe I'd seen bits of Alien Covenant. I like the original movies up to kind of Alien 3. I really enjoyed. I think after that, the fourth one was just, was it Resurrection? I did not enjoy that one. Prometheus, I really did like. I thought it was a really fun film. Not fun. I think it was a really good film. It's definitely not fun. Very entertaining though, in its visuals, its story. And I know it didn't really... I don't think general audiences did like Prometheus as much, but I really did like that film. This one though, I feel like it's kind of like definitely taking back... I was watching this film and it reminded me... Two things come to mind here. When Force Awakens came out, the Star Wars new one with Disney, and everyone was saying it's just a remake of A New Hope, and I understand. I'm not ripping on anyone, but I understand why people say that it's a remake. But I also think it's really, I don't know. I think it's at the same time just a bit of a silly statement, because it's obviously not a remake whatsoever. It's its own story. I understand there's certain elements that like you can take and you say they're kind of shot for shot very similar, but it's not a remake. It's a different story. They took elements, sure, and I think this is very similar. Where for me, it's not a remake. It's certainly taken a lot of inspiration from the first movie, I would say, more so than any of the ones in the franchise. It's got a vibe of that, but it's also got a lot more action, I would say, than the first movie, personally. I thought it was really good, though. A really, really good horror, suspense, action, science fiction movie, Alien Romulus. It looked absolutely brilliant. The sets, I don't know how much of it was practical. To me, it looked like they had used a lot more practical stuff, like practical sets. I may be wrong, maybe visual effects are just that good, now, but it looked amazing. I thought it was a really good movie. I loved the music. It had that feel of like a 1970s like science fiction movie. It really worked for it. I think they used a lot of the cues from the original movie, but obviously added new music in. I think the cast worked. There was no cast members I knew of. I like I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's not seen the movie before, but I like the addition of... They had a huge link to the very first movie within the whole plot, and a big part of the plot anyway. And I really did like that. I thought it was well done, well executed, and I don't think it looked bad at all. I think what they did was really quite astonishingly great, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I liked it. If I'm being honest, that night, I think I watched it on the Wednesday and filmed this on Saturday now. and I remember that I watched that night, and obviously I'm not a big horror guy, and I can normally handle stuff like Alien a bit more, but I watched it, and then the end, sort of like the ending of the movie, really freaked me out, if I'm being honest. And I think that's kind of it was maybe good because it was shocking, it worked, and I watched the end of the movie and it was like, oh wow, I kept on thinking about that end, so like the end moments of the film over and over again, and thinking how bizarre it was, and it just kind of like shocked me a bit, and I was having nightmares there. Not specifically about that, but when I watch like a scary movie, it kind of puts me on edge a bit more. So that's the way I felt. But it was honestly really, I think if you like the Alien movies and maybe over time you kind of went off them, maybe you didn't like Prometheus and stuff, I would give this a shot because it very much is in line with what the first movie and the second movie was doing with the franchise, more so the first one. And yeah, really, really enjoyed it. I know they're doing a sequel, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do moving forward with the Alien franchise, because Romulus was really good. I'm excited to see what they do more. Finally, I want to get to this movie, and it is the Royal Tenenbaums. Hope I'm saying that right. 2001 movie, Wes Anderson's second movie, I believe, if I'm right. Second or third, I think it was his second. Terrific cast. You got Gene Hackman in there, Owen Wilson, Danny Glover, Ben Stiller, Gwyneth Paltrow, to name a few. Superb cast of actors, and yeah, I'm kind of in a bit of like with his movies. Wes Anderson, I've only watched a couple of his movies. Some of them I really like, some of them I kind of can't get into. Watched The French Dispatch recently, just couldn't get into that at all. I was like, oh man, this is a hard watch. Asteroid City was the same, but Fantastic Mr. Fox and Royal Tenenbaums, both superb films. This is a film basically, Gene Hackman's like the father of this family, and we see them over the years, and they're all like these geniuses, all the kids. Gwyneth Paltrow, Ben Stiller, and Luke Wilson, their characters. And then you see them growing up, and he's left the family, his wife's wanting a divorce, and he's trying to get back in contact with the family, and you see they don't like him, you see the stories develop. It's I thought it was a great film, a really fun film. I like the story. It wasn't too. I think my criticism with some of the newer Wes Anderson movies, they feel a bit too like. It's like you can't. The characters don't feel like you can relate to them or you can connect with them, and the stories just kind of just don't feel. I don't know. On paper, it just feels like it's just like this just weird synopsis of a story, a weird synopsis of a story, or just a weird story that he's trying to put on film, and it just doesn't work. It's just like so someone's writing this random thing, and it's like I'm going to film it. That's it. Whereas the ones I've watched, like Fantastic Mr. Fox and Royal Tenenbaums, more specifically, I feel like they've actually got a good story arc. That he knows where the story's going, and it's a relatable story more so. And I feel like you can actually connect with the characters more so, and that's what I liked about it with this film. So I really enjoyed it. I think it was great. I think Ben Stiller was great in this. Owen Wilson was good. Gene Hackman. I'm pretty sure this might have been Gene Hackman's one of his final films. But yeah, I think if anyone was contemplating getting into Wes Anderson movies, I would start with this one, Royal Tenenbaums, because I think it is so far my favourite one of his. And I'm not put off by. I put a post out last night on Instagram, and I've had a few recommendations of movies which I will certainly be checking out of his, because I kind of like I'm not put off by. I want to watch more of his films because I want to. I think maybe more of his earlier stuff I'll probably enjoy more, but I'm definitely up for trying more of his films. I remember I was on Ollie Loves Films YouTube channel a few months back with Sammy G and Blue Roy, and they were discussing his films, and I couldn't add too much to the conversation at that time because I'd only watched Fantastic Mr. Fox, but it really inspired me to want to watch more of his films from doing that show. So I appreciate that, Ollie, and I'm looking forward to watching more of his films now and giving them a go. And like I said, I'm not put off by a few movies that I didn't enjoy because I enjoyed two of the other ones. So highly recommend this film. I think it's a really good watch, this one. Love the style, the visuals of it. His filmmaking style is very unique, but I think it works for certain films. Like when it delivers a good story like this. It's all about the story, isn't it? It's always about a good story. You get a good story, you're doing good. So that's the movies I've watched. So that is it for another episode. I hope you've enjoyed the selection of movies I've discussed today. Let me know your thoughts on these, if you watched any of these movies, any recommendations you've been watching in your movie room recently. Wes Anderson movies, what would your recommendations be for Wes Anderson movies based on the ones I enjoyed in this episode? Let me know. Musketeers, the Three Musketeers, which ones of those movies have you watched? And Alien Romulus, are you looking forward to seeing a sequel to that movie? Let me know all your thoughts. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer, and as always, I will see you next time.